Among some of the shockers from qualifying, seems throughout the session today, Rusty Spatula was 44th in the qualifying. One of the top drivers from Division 3, having to go way far back in the field today. Team Heusinkveld's 148, back in 17th, one of the lower Division 1 qualifiers. She is erasing by ACI, even lower though. 31st, 1 second slower than their personal best in practice. Ingersoll Rand also having troubles with their Sprint 1 car, which ended up going back to 33rd spot in the session. Sean Campbell, though, set the tempo in qualifying by 0.3 of a second, doing Sean Campbell things. After all, it's for the bees when it comes to Sean Campbell. Drivers have the next 7 minutes or so for the warm-up session. Should expect the advancement in about 2 minutes or so per the estimated schedule for today's race. Qualifying spread for those curious throughout the race today. Some of the drivers going as low as a 1 minute and 43. Separation about 3 seconds total. Majority, in fact, a vast majority of the field did qualify in the 1 minute 41 second bracket. Unso's looking to improve a bit. This is Esports following on board with. They have a smiley face to keep them company in the car today. That is Thomas Cope, one of their championship contenders from another series in the field today. Picked up a win oval side. Some of the series earlier this year. A 141.30, their personal best in qualifying. See Thomas Cope having a battle with those curves talked about a little bit by step earlier. Also expected to be a trouble spot for some of the drivers today, especially off the jump. See how drivers handle that, as well as the Aqua Minerale in the corner prior. Expecting advancement over to the race portion of today's session. 1 hour, 55 minutes up on the clock for today's action. And glad to have you with us here on Race Spot and VCO for today's coverage here from Imola. Interestingly enough, Thomas Cope amongst one of the highest runners in the practice session here so far, 142s. But again, quick session, some of the teams not bringing their cars out. Delta Sport actually pulling their car into the pit lane for pit lane practice. RSR amongst those taking time to practice throughout this session before we get rolling. Times now update. Boardzilla. Now to Delta V to the top of the board for the time being. Johan Martin Mayer will be running for Delta V today in their BMW. Expect a potential back and forth. In fact, there is a back and forth. Tom Burns sets another time in this warm-up session. Come to the final moments of this grouping. An hour probation has been handed out. There was a spin apparently in the qualifying session. Drew Swank, who is car 288 today for Swank Racing, had a spin with the 134. Then it was backed up into the racing line, which impeded the 268 GTR Esports. So they've picked up a penalty. No further action for the rest of the issues involved in the investigations referred to. Amongst those looking to make their way around the racetrack here today, worth noting some of the notables. Go off for the multiple-time PRL champion in the field once again today. Lou Bob has jumped into a car in Love 46. 242 for Olympus Esports Proton. Mentioned Tom Burns expect to be quick. Dominic Olivier has been given the wheel for the 111 today. Alexander Davidson's given the wheel for Pure Sims. Maximilian Renner, the GSE Racing by ACI wheel currently. Here is Lou Bob specifically. All-known streamer here on the iRacing platform. Currently, though, towards the bottom end of the qualifying order today. Starting in 38th position. Drivers, it appears, given the chance to be able to run things out for this respective warm-up, or we get fully rolling. Green flag here today. Take a look over at one of the trains forming up. One of the Heusinkveld cars involved in this respective train. That's Jad Senkowski. You haven't seen it in a long while, it seems, in the 148 machine. Expect him to be one of the drivers to charge the pack, having to start in 17th position. They also have David Lorenzi in the Mag Performance SRT machine, one of the other Italians in the field today. There are 5 Italian club drivers on the racetrack, in fact, currently. Mag Performance SRT's David Lorenzi, we mentioned Santosi for Sabo. Thomas Banzi will be driving the Mag Performance Junior Black Car Italian. Then Absolute Motorsport, Acelif Jr. has an Italian behind the wheel. Mag Performance Junior White also has a full Italian team with Mauricio Cato and Alex Ferrari. About 90 seconds until the end of the warm-up session here on RaceSpot and VCO. Preparation for today's run. Team Fordzilla top of the board in this warm-up session. 141.7. Followed by Delta V Racing, RSR by Butt Kicker, Deutsche Payment Monkey Butt, same about Esports, the top 5. 3 of those 5 drivers starting in the teens, however, based on their qualifying performances. Going to be an interesting race today, to say the very least. Here is Absolute Motorsport. It's Acelif Jr., one of the teams who have not set a time up on the board in this session. They are one of the Division 1 teams, despite the junior part in their name. 14th in the point standings, for reference. However, in qualifying, they did not set a time. One of 2 teams not to set a time. They have to start the race in about 50th position overall today. The other team is Element Sim Racing Fire, who has that situation, who has Bastian Lindlau behind the wheel, who will be starting tail of the field, one of the Division 2 drivers. So warm-up just about done. Officials allowing the warm-up to roll all the way through as it's time to get ready to go for IVRA competition from Imola. 51 entrants making their way to Italy today. It's time to see how they fare out here today at the Autodromo Enzo E. Dino Ferrari. As the drivers make their way towards the starting grid in the rolling formation, let's take a look at how they'll start today. Delta Sports sets the pole time by 3/10, with Tom Burns and Team Fordzilla in second. Mini 2 Racing, Pure Sims Esports, Same About Esports, the top 5. The top running Division 2 driver, German Sim Racing Red, starts in 6th with a cushion. Precision Racing Esports starts in 7th, with German Sim Racing.de by ACV starting in 8th. Mag Performance SRT starts in 9th. Team Fordzilla, the top 10. 9 of the top 10 drivers, Division 1. OTK Butt Kicker starts 11th today. Delta V Racing starts in 12th. Quasar Sim Racing Hydra starts close to them in 13th in Division 2. RSR by Butt Kicker is the cushion between them in 14th. Ferrari Racing, German Sim Racing Blue, Team Heusinkveld, and Deutsche Payment Monkey Butt amongst the top 18. Olympus Esports Ariane starts in 19th today. Then it is Freestanda Nomad in the 256 and 20th. TNT Esports Orange starts 21st position today. Then the 22nd position, Valerius Motorsports. Then it's Element Sim Racing and iLiveries 5 Esports in 24th. 25th today goes to RD Sim Sport. Then it's RWS Racing Esports, followed by Veneri Racing. Valerius Motorsports is 237 in 28th. Then Ingersoll Rand, one of their cars, starts deep in the field in 29th in Division 1. Then Division 2, JTR Esports in 30th. 31st spot goes to GSE Racing by ACI, a very long trek for them today. 356 for Prestanda Nomad starts 32nd. The other Ingersoll Rand car starts in 33rd. Team Heusinkveld in 34th with Sven Gletzo in the Division 2 car. Division 3 is Royal Sim Racing Team and P1 Esport, 35th, 36th. E-Racers and Olympus Esports, one of their other entries in 38th, the Division 2 car. Then it's the Ford all the way back in 39th. Nick McLaughlin in Division 3 starts in 40th. JTR Esports and Eclipse Racing Team, the top 42. Mag Performance Jr. and Rusty Spatulas start deep in the field today. The other Mag Performance Jr. car, their Division 2 car, starts 45th. Then it's Swank Racing, Olympus Esports once more with their Division 3 car, and Aquaria Racing, the top 48. The last entrants today, Joshua Lawrence, the last qualifier in the 143s. 2 drivers not setting times. Absolute Motorsport, Ace Wolf Jr., as well as Element Sim Racing Fire did not set times. Let's look top to bottom up your running order here today. Drivers get themselves set here on the formation lap. An hour and 55 minutes up on the clock. A couple of those minutes burning off as we get ready for the formation lap. Drivers do have a mandatory pit stop around the midway point of today's action. Drivers also must stop for 60 seconds. Getting ready to form up here for today's action, Sean Campbell and Tom Burns looking to duke it out at the front of the field in the Division 1 battle. Division 2 already tight potentially for the battle for second in that class, with 3 of their drivers lined up within about 4 spots. Formation lap coming up for the double up. Race control in control of the field. Campbell on the left side. Up the Rente Besa. Tom Burns up on the right side. We're all set to go for the IVRA GT Sprint Series powered by Heusinkveld from Imola. The green flag waits up at the stand. We're underway here from Italy. Tom Burns with a better start than Sean Campbell. Campbell already under attack for second. Davidson gives him a break, backs it off. German Sim Racing Red goes side by side for third. No change to much. The top 3 outside of the fourth race lead with Tom Burns. Back to the single file early. Several of the drivers of the mid-pack involved in trouble, including, it appears, Delta V Racing getting set. The rest of the race leaders keeping it clean. In fact, the top 9, no problems. About half the field has piled up in Villeneuve as well as Tamburello, it appears. The rest of the front runners looking to sort themselves out as they make their way off to Aqua Minerale. Looking at third place currently, Alexander Davidson already losing a quick amount of ground to the top 2, Campbell and Burns, looking to run away as they make their way to Alta. Porsche, the top 3. Then it's BMW, Mercedes, AMG off the jump so far. Amongst those who were able to make it through cleanly in this main pack, Valerius Motorsports, the 236, gained 10 spots dodging crashes. At the end of the first lap, though, the draft starting to pop up a little bit. Tom Burns leads the first lap from Imola. See if Sean Campbell elects to send it. Here is a look at some of the trouble. This is one of the RSR cars going around. And as you see in the backdrop, Delta V gets hooked around. Several more seeing the green wall to the left side of the racetrack. Amongst those is the Ford Orbit Motorsport Venus having to come in. V-Racer significant damage. Venari Racing's 269 and OTK by Butt Kicker all demolished. Here comes Campbell with the look to the inside of the Tosa. Side by side, getting near door to door. Campbell known for being aggressive if the spots open up for him. Burns all the way to the runoff area. Now back to the preferred line to Aqua Minerale. Sean Campbell lets him have it single file. Division 1 very tightly packed. In fact, interestingly enough, up to 4th is the Division 2 German Sim Racing Red car as the one buffer amongst the 7 Division 1 cars in the lead group. Here is Adam Wolkowitz now in the German Sim Racing machine, currently losing a little bit of ground through the last corner, but in the popcorn seat, potentially to have the overall race lead. Maniti Racing right behind him in the mirror. Already getting a little bit hairy with the Division 2 car. Maniti Racing nearly takes it 3 wide. Instead pushes the Porsche. 3 wide offset. Alexander Davidson absolutely squeezed off the line. Davidson had to back out of it. He was about to become a sandwich. Maniti Racing into Villeneuve showing the nose. Will they get any brakes? No. Instead, they get hit into the sand. Max Reedmoor just avoids the wall. Maniti Racing drops back out of the top 10. And as a result, they door Valorous Motorsports Apollo. Emil Winbo getting the door. Take a look. Maniti Racing showed the nose. Not really a passing section. And this is why. Very lucky to not slam that inside wall coming up the racetrack with a sand trap. And then, for good measure, the next corner, they do basically the same thing that happened to them. So Maniti Racing now out of the top 10. They were up in 5th prior to that situation. You see another spin also popped up in the backdrop. Also of note, as we show that replay, TNT Esports Orange dropped back to 35th with a spin. So the lead pack has been broken up already as a result of that. Back the top 2 have picked up a 2.5 seconds on Alexander Davidson because of all of that bumping and baiting we just seen for 3rd spot. Racing just holding on to the tail end of the lead draft currently. That includes drivers like Nick Madsen in the 120, Pablo Lopez in the heart of the pack, Dominic Olivier, who had an off track last time by, also in this group. No major peaks coming this time. We'll see if the patience levels start to increase a little bit. No is the answer. The door is open. Nick Madsen trades paint with Pablo Lopez. Lopez with the draft though. Pablo Lopez able to hold on to a spot. There, note, Fox has just wrecked the car. Element Sim Racing Water way off the track. Here's a look at the replay. Maniti Racing and Valorous Motorsports, remember contact before? Well, they did it again. And they did it not good for Winbo. Right into the racetrack and backing up into the circuit, 1 in the world. Not sure what you can say with that one. Valorous Motorsports Apollo backing up into the racetrack, takes 5 cars with them from the mid-pack after the dooring from an ET. That was apparently shortly after the previous replay. That hit Veneria Racing. That's where TNT Esports Orange spun around, and a couple others. Looking meanwhile with Pablo Lopez, he's lost ground now to Dominic Olivier. Some of the shuffling, 5.8 seconds back in the overall race lead already. Division 2 car for German Sim Racing still keeping things up. You also have Massimo Locatello trying to sort things out with a 5th spot. Looking at our replay, this time, Nick Madsen continuing not to make friends after a bump draft gets nearly turned into an AT. So a lot of trouble spots here today. GSE Racing by ACI amongst those in the pit lane with the mandatory repairs. Element Sim Racing Water. Mary Racing Cars mentioned. Nick McLaughlin's 311 also mandatory repairs, and the Ford is already out. Wild start here at Imola, similar to what we've seen in Germany for a little bit. Cattell trying to find a way to close up right now to get disabled Esports in the 191. The separation nearly a full second already. Main drafting section, but keep in mind there is the headwind as we talked about just moments ago in qualifying. Not able to reel things in yet, but there are amongst the teams who picked up a couple spots as a result of some of the early shuffling in the race. Take a look at how some of the other shuffling is playing out. This is the battle for second, Division 2. Lengthy time back from first, yes, but our liveries in the battle, Deutsche Payment Esports in the battle as well. Up at the front, Tom Burns. What's happened to Tom Burns? He had been in second, and now, after a mistake it appears in Villeneuve, he is back to the top 8. Self-inflicted, and he did hit the wall. The slide as a result of the curbing and right into the left side wall. No mandatory repairs, but he does lose plenty of time right behind Pablo Lopez's where he cycled in front of an AT Racing. So Sean Campbell has been given a 2.7 second lead because of the mistake. Those are the self-inflicted mistakes drivers are expected to potentially make today, but not for second position is the expectation. Fordzilla slipping back because of it. Fordzilla cars currently leading essentially the second major grouping of cars on the racetrack. German Sim Racing's Division 2 car leading that first main pack and third on back. Looking towards some of the other divisions for reference. Stand and Nomad currently holding on to the Division 3 lead. By the way, they are currently 20th on the racetrack after starting 32nd. They've been the best of the Division 3 cars to survive for those curious on your timing pylon. Lopez last time by lost 3/10 for reference to Dominic Olivier in the Precision Racing Esports car. Now it's a chance to work together with Tom Burns. Tom Burns does have some scrapes though on the left side of the 169 car. Not able to close up fully yet, needing to close up a second and a half to get back to the draft. Looking with Deutsche Payment Esports again in that battle for second for Division 2. Livery still holding on with Sanjo Marsani behind the wheel of the 241 today. Porsche closing in a bit right now with a BMW. 13th and 14th overall, these drivers running 1 minute 43 second lap times today. Minimal speed difference down the straightaway as a result of the slipstream this time. As a result of the car, and there goes iLiveries. Marsani spins it around on his own. He clips the grass on the entry. The Tamburello. And so the battle for the division in second has just imploded. Looking back up towards the front again. German Sim Racing Red holding on to a sizable Division 2 lead because of their qualifying performance. They are losing ground, however, to the ranked leaders. Esports, the closest to them, but everybody else in their pack is starting to also lose ground to the 246. Both the Porsches have pulled away by about 2+ seconds on the racetrack currently. Reference, you see how the intervals are played out between the various divisions. For those confused why there's 2 leader markers, it's about a 9-second gap they have currently on the racetrack. Delta Sport has the 3-second lead for Division 1's pylon currently. Out trying to pick up the draft this time once again. Santosi not able to find a way around. Might be in a fuel save situation to maybe save some time in the pit lane once the window opens in about 30 minutes time. Reference, they are also still quicker than the other pack of Ford Silver cars you've seen in the backdrop. They've fallen back 2 full seconds. So Santosi still in the midst of the save. Amongst this pack, the top 12 separate currently overall, I should say, by 12 seconds. Here we go into this race. Majority of the drivers currently electing to run stationary, wait single file for the time being. This is expected to be the tempo for the time being as drivers maintain patience for their strategies. Still though, another second loss this time around for this entire pack you've been keeping an eye on throughout this lap. They've ditched Dominic Olivier on the track. Alexander Davison currently, for reference, holding on a second. Amongst those getting shuffled about a little bit is the Ingersoll Rand GT3 Sprint 1 car. Elias Ruda behind the wheel of the 134 today. They are in a hard battle with some of the Olympus Esports drivers as well as JTR Esports. Here comes Love 46 behind them. Able to back it down, avoid contact this time into Tamburello as they head to Villeneuve. 46 did already pick up front damage as well as Thomas Cope, the car in front of Ingersoll Rand. Thomas Cope looking to run away with Gregory Hobson. Makes the Division 1 and Division 2 drivers in this fight. Love 46 is a Division 2 driver, so not technically for overall position for them for points, but potentially to keep up to find some other drivers in the class. And there's the hit. Off goes Ingersoll Rand. And the 134 stops it on the edge of the racetrack. And Ruda does not seem to be happy because he is not moving because of that hit. Oh, there's been trouble. Jason Dilworth, it appears, has had problems with the 256. That is one of the top drivers in Division 2. That driver you'll see right now. Check things up for this battle. Dilworth now leading the pack essentially, but JTR Esports falling right into a position battle with them as a result. This is why they loop it on their own. Meanwhile, the Ford Zilla train still not finding a way forward. Maniti wants to go. Max Reedmower saying, enough's enough, Tom. Passes him on the outside. Lopez gains some ground. Now Maniti, the push car. See the run right now for some of these drivers through Tosa, one of the major send sections of the track throughout the day. Dilworth not getting sent on yet. Hubson still can't find a way around, is dealing with a little bit of damage to the Mercedes AMG to the left side. Thomas Cope, the Division 1 driver, letting them deal it out, letting them fight currently. If they take too much time, Love 46 is coming. And there's the love tap. Hubson actually gets a boost coming out of the corner from the contact. Going for the move. Another block. And a little bit unhappy there. All over the rear end of the braking zone. Nearly parked the bus several times. It's worth noting there are about 12 different incidents that are logged for potential review currently. And the first black flag's been given. Noto S. Costa, 20 seconds. That is V Racers in the 333 with a black flag. Meanwhile, more contact. And a Nomad still parking the bus. Hubson is tired of it to the inside of Tosa. Thomas Cope is tired of it. He goes to the inside of the 268. Cope backs it down. And those train whistles you may hear, well, it's time for the choo-choo train. Love 46 has joined in. 3 Division 2 drivers now fighting all under a blanket here. Dilworth this time getting some separation on Hubson. That might be able to get him some breathing room for Urbiatsa this time around. And how much time are they losing? How about more than a second and a half to the 242 to allow them back in the fight? And if they also fight, Absolute Motorsports is coming, Swank Racing is coming, some of the Division 3 drivers are coming. Hubson trying to find a way to close the ground again, starting to pick up a little bit extra speed for the draft. Coming up to 90 minutes to go in this race. Hubson faking right, goes left. Nomad car again, a little bit earlier on the brakes though. Forces them to check up again. Resets coming up. It looks like Love 46 waiting a little bit more patiently compared to the bump and run last time. Couple other notes with the air train. Heusinkveld Esports is now leading train 1, 3rd through 6th. Maniti Racing leading 7th through 12th train. There were a couple shuffles. in their respective cars. German Sim Racing, in fact, lined up as the sandwich of the first major pack. Downside, the top part of the sandwich is starting to somehow run away. That bread, I think, has rolled off the table and is starting to try and pull away. See that separation, say about last time by a 142.3, a 143.3 for German Sim Racing Red. And they just let by the Division 1 driver to go. In fact, they let Dominic Olivier go as well. Again, those are not for positions for their division and points. So it looks like they're saying Division 1 drivers go. Keep in mind, their nearest competitor in the division is still Deutsche Payment, who is still further back, about 8 seconds. 11 seconds is the better way to phrase it, rather 6. All the numbers. WS Racing Esports, though, is up to 3rd. We'll say over liveries. Still about 20 minutes or so away from the pit window opening up. See how things play out here as this run continues. So like a drive-through penalty may be coming with a post-race review. 345 the number. That's one of the JTR Esports cars. It's not this one. Their Division 3 counterpart. Hubson nearly loops it. Here comes Thomas Cope. Up to the left side, and Alton a little bit tight. Hubson nearly hit the right rear. Thomas Cope very lucky to still be running. Here comes the run again. Hubson wants a chance back at Dilworth. Again, tries to get back around. Cope can't. Blue Bob. It's Kopska. Still not able to find a way to close up. They have picked up Absolute Motorsport Acelif Jr. to their draft pack. Here comes the run again. Thomas Cope really dropping back now as the lead car of a pack. Hubson able to get that spot overall wise back. Thomas Cope getting frustrated though. Another block. Another run to the inside, and Villeneuve shows the nose. Has to back off, though, to avoid contact. And Hubson overdrives the corner. Here comes lap 46. That is for overall position for the class. Hubson hits her. Lubab holds on to the right side. Hubson on the inside. Gonna punch back, coming to Aqua Minerale. Monday Natal now watches in the popcorn seat as one of the Division 1 drivers. Bob having to pop out a little bit out of turn 13, heading up to Alta. But Hubson able to build up some momentum now. Here's a look from the 124. One of the lower running Division 1 drivers, yes, but they've been able to keep the car clean. 22nd overall. Also joining this pack is Swank Racing. Drew Swank, within the draft, Delta V Racing also has joined the party, despite being absolutely demolished on lap 1. Near the side-by-side is side-by-side. It looks like Lubab having problems with the corner. Now getting swarmed by Division 1 and 2 drivers. Here comes Drew Swank. And Drew Swank doing Drew Swank things. Not backing down. Here comes the crossback. And here comes the block back. Delta V joining the party. lined up. Delta V, keep in mind, Johan Martin Mayer dealing with significant damage still to that race car. Black flag has been displayed for JTR Esports 345. That is a drive-through penalty they have to serve. A lot of earlier incidents, 28th place. Martin Mayer loses ground this time, as well as Lubov to Drew Swank. Swank runs away, and as a result, essentially this entire grouping has separated out. Pack is broken up. Let's take a look at the Fort Zilla group. They've seen Maniti ditch them. Pablo Lopez now leads the pack with Tom Burns. Then it's Dennis Brzik. Then it's Jan Sentkowski, who's still in the pack. Here's the significant thing to the 148. The rear bumper has been completely destroyed. The left front's completely destroyed. And they've still moved their way to 11th because jam things. Sentkowski, known more so for his building in touring cars for Team Heusinkveld. Time in the GT machinery. Having a fight to be able to get this car up to the pace it has in the 142.5s. See just how much some of the ground is lost down the straightaways. Corner speed going to be the major gaining opportunity, it appears. The rate things are going. And a news warning coming in. Remember Emil Winbo and his incident that's seen him collect 5 cars? That was after contact with Maniti. They have a 60-second stop and hold and a probation. That car is already out of the race. Penalties starting to pick up for some of the teams as a result of the earlier incidents. Lopez still not able to pick up a bit of ground on Tom Burns last time by. He had an invalidated lap time, in fact. The incident mark is 30 incidents today. Drivers/teams get warnings at 15. That in mind. German Sim Racing Blue has been leapfrogged. You see the back of the pack by Team Heusinkveld, by the way. Here comes Nick Madsen again. Nick Madsen already going around once. Gonna have to be patient this time with the blue car. Going to and will be are 2 different terms, however. Pulling away now, German Sim Racing Blue. For the time being, seems like they are stronger out of the Alta in the BMW today. The Porsche still lined up in the draft. These drivers already losing 2 seconds, keep in mind. It's pack in front as talked about. Maniti has actually picked up that respective pack with how quick they're going. Also, Fort Zilla looking to make a break for it. No sense, Jen Sentkowski with the damage, losing the ground now with the no help. No, the Vector Sim Racing car has had a spin in 36th place. It's not the day to be a Vector car. Nick Madsen starting to hound things. Blue on blue. And it looks like Deutsche Payment is closing in on them. They are quicker than the entire 8 through 12 pack. Let's take a look at RSR by Butt Kicker. And what happened to them? Well, Turtle. See how much they have to spin around and loop around. .166. Still stronger coming out also on the acceleration. That allows them to build the buffer. But as mentioned, Deutsche Payment now just about within their draft, and that's significant. Because they're starting to outrun drivers. That replay was Vector, pardon, that showed almost on the time. Let's get back to the point being made. Deutsche Payment, with the pace they are running, picking them up 0.3 a lap on the 246. Gap had been as big as 11 seconds or so about 20 minutes ago. So Heusinkveld is on the run to be able to try and get in the conversation. Needs to, however, get by all the Division 1 cars in front of him to have a shot to get up to German sim racing. Takes some work, to say the very least. Here's Jason Dilworth, has just had an issue in the 256. In fact, Dilworth has found his way to the sand trap as a result of problems at the other end of the circuit. Meanwhile, 287 is right about there. Here's a look at Dilworth. Bye-bye. Here he goes off to the runoff area. In fact, all the way to Heidi Land. Pavement now is within the 1 second cushion to be able to get the draft now of the cars in front. How do the Division 1 drivers respond is the huge question. Well, about to get the answer for one. Madsen, a horrible run through Riviera. Had to slow down. And Madsen nearly squeezes him off the racetrack. Madsen shuffles back. Now hooks up with Deutsche Payment. And a warning has been just issued in that same incident with the 345 to Tom Burns. So Team Fordzilla is now dealing with a warning. 3.4 is the rule ruling. Deutsche Payment now having to work another 2 seconds because of the bank performance battle. Able to get up to the German sim racing blue car. The pace starting to pick up the tempo, about 10 minutes away from the pit stop window. We'll see which drivers go early and how many drivers try and go short on the fuel tank and go up to the 45-minute mark. I think it's worth noting to go up to Maniti because we talked about them moving ahead in their respective pack. Well, here's the thing. They've just passed German sim racing in the 246, the red car. They are flying through the pack, one of the quickest cars on the racetrack now. In fact, if not a little bit quicker than Alexander Davidson. Right now, a long way to pick up to be able to get up to second. 10 seconds still. But they are quicker than everybody in their pack. An ET within the draft, Dominic Olivier. The big thing when it comes to the German sim racing red card at the back of this pack, though, is they no longer have any draft coming from behind. And remember Deutsche Payment? They're within 5 seconds now at the Division 2 lead. It's all going to come down to those Fordzilla cars you just seen in Tosa. Able to help them get the job done, possibly. He keeping it a little bit patient, it seems, coming through Iratella now after that incident earlier, or incidents in that sector. Moore in a good spot when it comes to the pace, running in the 141s for reference. Tom Burns starting to pick up a little bit of ground on the 246 for reference. Saul to the German sim racing shuffle. And Veneri Racing, black flag. The 204 has just been awarded one. Issue per race control involved a 372. Element Sim Racing Water, Marcus Fox moved on the straight to let by the 134. 134 falls, which led to contact. Remember, Element Sim Racing Water eventually had to get mandatory repairs done, so it's a 20-second stop and hold for John Ellen for the 204 car. 28th currently. ET still just not able to close up the ground, by the way, as we've kept an eye on the green car. Well, we're approaching the halfway point of this race for reference and how things have played out so far. It's been the Sean Campbell show. Sean Campbell doing Sean Campbell things, leads by 6 seconds. Pure Sims Esports with Alexander Davidson. He's in that second spot, 6 seconds up over Santosi in his home race. Then you have the German sim racing by ACB car, PRL's Precision Racing Esports 111, and AT Racing, German sim racing red. Then you have the Team Portzilla cars. Then you have the Team Heusinkveld car of Jan Santowski. And Kowski, I should say, who continues to ride 20 seconds back of the leader, top 10 overall. 9 of the top 10 drivers are Division 1 competitors this week. Highest running Division 2 drivers mentioned German sim racing and the red entry. Division 3 has been outright dominated so far by the 356 Priesta and Nomad, with Ryan Scott Hamilton, who's gone from 32nd to 17th. Next nearest car after that rolled a sim racing team who is about 20 seconds behind. No movement in the choo-choo train. Deutsche Payment struggling to close up. Back to this choo-choo train, by the way. See the slow roll. Ford Zilla cars leading the way in the 142 threes. Not enough pace, however, to be able to keep up and close up to the 246, a 142 flat last time for the Division 2 car. And it looks like a driver may have gotten a penalty for a start procedure just now. Yes, TNT Esports Orange. Jake Shirley, who, remember, went around early after picking up spots early, spun around, lost all the spots. Well, he's going to lose more. He left the start column before the start line. It's a drive-through penalty. Now for the 217 car. Eighth through 11th, 20th to 22 seconds back. On the circuit, the Ford Zilla car starting to nearly bump away. This has been the trend with the Team Heusinkveld car throughout the majority of this run. Now reaching the point of the race where the small packs starting to become the trend rather than the outlier. Kowski getting close to the bumper once again, lets it roll back. TNT Esports Orange has served the penalty. Let's take a look at one of the other battles. This is a battle for 14th. It is a Division 2 battle. This fight currently for second in the division again. Rather third. Arsani trying to get a run on RD Simsport. Robin Hombra holding on to the left side. Able to hold on firmly. Seen a couple different looks for RD Simsport in some of their events as of late. This time going with the pink color. BMW versus BMW. Remember, iLiveries had that spin when they were battling for what was second at one point in the division. Drivers need 9 seconds to be able to get up to Deutsche Payment. It's like no move opportunities popping up yet. Near even on the speed, if anything. Marsani lost 2/10. The back end of the 258. A little deeper braking for Marsani. Is it a little too deep? No. Nearly to the back bumper of RD Simsport, able to keep it clean. Couple minutes away from the opening of the pit window. 1 hour and 8 minutes to go here. Respawn and VCO today. Domination station still for Campbell in Division 1. Division 2 dominated by German Sim Racing Red. Division 3 dominated by Freestanda Nomad. Here is that 356 talked about. 16th overall. Gap about 20 seconds at least to World of Sim Racing. And it's time for some shuffling. Some cars coming out of the pit lane break up the pack. That was V Racers coming out of the pit lane, who breaks up the Fordzilla stationary line up at the front of the group. Here comes the Team Heusinkveld car as they try and pass by the traffic. Nuno Costa. German Sim Racing Blue works its way to the left side, and this may have been what Deutsche Payment needed to be able to get back in their draft. Fordzilla car starting to separate out a little bit from the rest of the group. Tom Burns breaking away. So is Jensen Kowski. Pablo Lopez now building up a buffer. Oh, and the Deutsche Payment car is stuck in the midst of the traffic. The look through Alta. They cannot get by V Racers back there. Pit window is open per race control. About a minute early today, but it is open. So the pack has completely split apart. Deutsche Payment nearly got back there, but lost a full second because of traffic management. Now Fordzilla has a Team Heusinkveld car as their sandwich. Expecting other lap cars to become a factor for the overall race leader soon, so we may see the interval shrink a bit for Sean Campbell, who leads by 8.2 seconds over Davidson. Campbell has a sea of cars potentially that he'll have to deal with for reference, as well as the rest of this field, mind you, over the next 10-15 minutes or so. Here's a look at Campbell, and you see those cars up the road. The cars in front of them are the battles for about 40th on forward. Vector Sim Racing, Element Sim Racing Waters up there, Olympus Esports, Lambda, as well as Element Sim Racing Fire. Keep in mind the blue flag is going to be important, but also the timing of where Campbell reaches a lot of these cars coming up. He has outright dominated today. He has had a grand total of 1/10 of a second of fall off. If anything, he has gained half a second of pace since ditching the rest of the field from the Tom Burns mistake. So that lap traffic is now within 10 car lengths. First car they'll have to deal with is Maximilian Renner. GSC Racing by ACI. A strong run last time by in the Audi. The Audi got destroyed today. Let's take a look back. German Sim Racing has now broken away with the blue car with Precision Racing. They've broken away from Maniti, who has had to back it down. So Massimo Locatello starting to help build a cushion here. And it looks like they are trying to mow back the gap that's picked up by Santosi by Sabo. Bit of a drift this time for Locatello. Loses a little bit of ground coming out of the corner exit. See if any of the lead cars elect to peel it off now that the window is firmly open for some of the drivers. No. We expected these drivers trying to push the envelope on the fuel mileage. Sean Campbell, by the way, has officially just reached nearly the back bumper of Renner. And a car has gone around Absolute Motorsport. The 124 has gone around from 19th after starting in 50th. Is on their own. Remember, they were in that grouping that battled hard earlier. Too strong in the corner. Look back over to the 8th on backpack. Heusinkveld continuing to carry their damaged backpack around. Just not able to close up fully yet to the German Sim Racing red car. Lopez leading this respective pack currently for Team Fordzilla. Their struggle spot seems to be in that section there. Black flag awarded. Remember the car who stopped? Well, they picked up a penalty already for leaving their start column. 116, but they are already off the circuit. Out of the 134. Clear. Still nothing has really changed up at the front of this respective pack today. Question's going to be, when do drivers try and make a move here? Right now with the strategy, seems to be fuel save is still the priority. Drivers can go in our 10 minutes or so before they have to come in. No move from Senkowski. Driver expecting to make moves, still is hold tights once they get there because of that Adam Wolkowitz situation. For those curious on the situation involving Maniti, Max Reedmower is dealing now with a probation and a warning after the spin with the 333 led to the contact for the unsafe rejoin. Still nowhere for the Team Heusinkveld car to go. We'll say it has been a calm race for those tuning in. Justin Prince with you here on Race Spot at VCO. Alongside the empty chair, Stefan Schlacker. Make her way forward in this one. 34 estimated laps to go in this race. It's been outright dominated by Delta Sport today. Just nothing doing when it comes to these swamp rounds with how this racetrack flows currently in the Euro, as well as the need for fuel save. Well, car not closing down in any manner, it seems, today. Oh, and a black flag just given to the points leaders for Division 2. Delta V Racing have a black flag for failing to keep speed with the field just now. They had recovered to 22nd with the damage. They now have a penalty. A 20-second stop and hold. They had just passed one of the Division 1 cars, RSR by butt kicker, but now they have to peel in. So Delta V Racing, stellar start to the season, sees a flat second race. Pit stop, Division 3 leader. Hamilton is in, joined by JTR Esports in the 268. Absolute Motorsport is in, Delta V for the penalty is in, RSR by butt kicker is in, Olympus Esports as Thomas Cope is in. Looking back again at that pack for 8th and 9th. A lot of the drivers reaching the edge of their fuel limits right now in an hour and 4 minutes or so. In fact, 25th on back has completely just peeled in. Race leaders are also coming in. Pit stops expected this time. Campbell is in. Davidson is in. Santosi is in. No peel off yet for Locatello or Olivier. Peel off this time coming up from one of the Ford Civic cars. Pablo Lopez, who led the pack. Tom Burns also joins the lane. Holtykes is now into the lane. Olympus Esports Proton, Love 46, now has a black flag. 356. Failed to keep up the field, or rather the 242. Failing to keep up with the field, drop through penalty. They serve it, and have to serve it after the pit stop. So most of the field coming in for their mandatory 1-minute pit stops. Keep in mind the sim is where they track that 1 minute. Race officials will check those pit stop times. If it's under a minute, it's a penalty. Most drivers are averaging about a minute and 2 seconds on the pit stop so far. Campbell had a minute and 1 second estimate. Rest of the pit party starting to roll its way in. Only 5 cars were able to push it further. German Sim Racing with Locatello, Olivier Senkowski, Dennis Brzik, and Nick Madsen. There goes the rest of the pack. A minute and 2 seconds, a minute and 3 seconds for just about everybody else. Expecting everybody else in this time. Locatello leads them in. Dominic Olivier picks up some solid amount of time of the pit entry. No speeding penalties for any of the drivers today. Pit road speed limit is a fairly reasonable 50 miles per hour today. As they go into the boxes. Olivier having a bit of trouble with this box. He had the 313 of Rusty Spatulas in it. Battle starting to form up after the pit stops. iLivery is keeping close now with Josh Wiggins, who is the new driver for RD Simsport. Wiggins, an UK and I Club driver, looking to hold on firm right off the stop. Zani, though, keeping himself in the car with 53 minutes to go. Currently is for third spot again for Division 2. Nowhere to go. If anything, the 358 starting to park the bus. Sean Campbell has retaken second on the circuit. Nick Madsen was able to go another lap somehow. Hence why Nick Madsen seen at the top of the pylon. However, Madsen, with where he may cycle, likely will be right around 7th or 8th on the pylon. Continue to look around at some of the air battles. Say about Esports, they've been reeled in the pit stop window. 1 second longer in the box means the 127 of Locatello is there. And another black flag Delta V. Delta V has been told they have continued with a broken car, rejoined the track, proceeded across the track, which led to contact with the 169 car. That was earlier with Tom Burns, believe. So they have another drive-through. Delta V's race has completely unraveled as now the 120 is in. Rather, the top running car is in. Look over to this pack, and guess what? They picked up ground on the pit lane of itself. All the drivers picked up 1 second on the 246. Florian Holm is now behind the wheel of the Division 2 car. Senkowski had cycled in front of Lopez and Burns. Expecting Lanzani to be able to be within this pack, possibly too. They've completed their pit service. Matter of fact, they'll be passed by the pack. 50 minutes to go on the clock. Sean Campbell back to the lead. Davidson in second. Santosi, Locatello the top 4. Top 5 features Olivier, all Division 1. All in the Division 2 driver currently in 6th. Now under pressure from Senkowski possibly for 6th overall. Then Lopez, Burns, and Brzik. Deutsche Payment lost a ton of time in the pit window. Then they've lost all their help. They fell back to 13th overall behind the main performance car. Maniti has also lost ground as a result of their pit stop to 11th overall. So plenty of shuffling amongst the field as we take a back look towards Tosa. iLiveries again is dropping back. iLiveries again is trying to battle for a top 3 spot in the division. How did they lose the spot? Here's Mersani. You can see they got the spot, then they lost it. Losing ground there, say about Esports. Still staying in line, German Sim Racing.de by ACV seems to be very content right now. Tell just cannot close up for the draft. Staying stationary within 1 second. They do have the Ford coming up as a bright spot. For those wanting to cheer on the Ford, it's still alive. It's 43rd. Ethan Bass still holding on in that Ford in front. They'll just staying stationary in the midst of all this. Laughlin behind Dominic Olivier might be able to work with things. Precision Racing, the Esports car, is closing in a bit. Closest they've been so far this run in the 127. There goes the Ford. And there goes the penalty serve on the inside as well. Santosi might feel a little bit of pressure in a Tamburello. Here it is to the left side. No, not close enough. Result of that sand, they'll have to regroup. That'll take them another couple laps possibly to close up this respective gap. Let's take a look at this one. Division 2 leader again is leading a pack, or was. German Sim Racing Red starting to let drivers go. Zenkowski the first that they let go. They give a little push and then clip the grass for good effort. Lopez staying close as well. Expect Lopez to get some space all over the back bumper. The answer is no, actually. Lopez not being let go. So Lopez boxed in for the time being, it looks like. Also in this pack, Tom Burns, Dennis Brzic, all staying in line for now. Zenkowski, though, is running away. Zenkowski with the clean space, picked up 3/10 after the pass. And it looks like German Sim Racing Red just going to let him go. There goes Lopez. Bad spot for Tom Burns, though. As the 246 go and give the spot there, Tom Burns takes the spot instead. Here comes the German Sim Racing blue car, expecting that to be a swap. Troubles for what? A sim racing team just now in the 351. They have spun it. So Flores, one of the top drivers in Division 3, losing time, and a black flag just given out to Maniti. Maniti has just wrecked Delta V. Maniti has just wrecked with the 260. Reed Moore missed the last corner and slammed into the side of the 260 and destroyed both the cars. Maniti was just given a black flag for the issue with the 248, and they do this. The timing, what the time of where they missed that corner would be where the notification came in for Reed Moore, the rejoin, collecting Martin Mayer, who's back in 40th, 2 laps down, and there goes Maniti for the penalty. Might be getting more here. In our news, Team Fordzilla has no longer been able to hook up with a 148 because of the traffic in part. Seatbelt still. No swap for third. They have traffic to come up with, though. V Racers, Element Sim Racing Water, Vector Sim Racing, as well as the Rusty Spatulas who are back on the racetrack with Sepola. We'll just check up the pack, not expecting too much with the blue flag. There goes the lap traffic given the space. And hello, Dominic Olivier wanted to go too. He nearly hits him. Olivier forced to regroup. Olivier forces V Racers over to the left side for the moment. That Mercedes AMG starting to look hot. Still 3 more cars to deal with for this entire pack. Already seen how impactful one car was. And Maniti may have gotten another penalty. Yes, Maniti is not having a good middle portion of the race. They did not have the minimum pit stop time. They have another penalty. A 60-second stop and hold. And they still don't have the notification about the incident they just had yet. Maniti's race has just completely folded like a deck of cards. Here comes the lap traffic, meanwhile, to deal with in this battle. The belt deals with Rusty Spatulas. And Locatello gets locked to the back end and hits him. 313 gets a little up tap. Here comes Olivier to take advantage. Olivier a little tight. Trying to use the cars out in front as a pick. No. Crossover attempt for Locatello. Can't get there. And there goes Thibaut Sepola in a better spot to let the drivers go. However, the battle is now on for 4th instead of for 3rd because of all the checkup. Olivier having Locatello look and show the nose. Too far back to send it. Olivier already back in Santosi's draft. Santosi already in the draft of Luke Burdenshaw, the Vector Sim Racing car. So a lot of time lost as a result of those checkups. Santosi having to slam the brakes for Vector. And Vector moves over to the left finally. However, Santosi loses about 3/10 for one checkup. Olivier not going to make this easy. Vector does. There goes Vector as they hit the grass and he wrecked the car again. And all the other lap cars they were with all scramble. Olivier now within about 0.7 of a second. They have another train to deal with in about 2 to 3 laps from now, though. That is even bigger. Here's the interesting thing, though, with all that traffic. They are gaining time on Alexander Davidson. It took Davidson so long to get through the traffic, the gap has gone down another 2 seconds to this pack. Amongst the cars they have to deal with soon, Alex Ferrari, Spencer Ritzma, Drew Swank, Thomas Avanzini, and Renner. Olivier lined up and dialed in. Good entry. Able to close up a touch bit of ground. Now loses the ground, though, on the corner exit out of Tamburello. Not able to get the grip. Locatello not making Olivier breathe too much from behind. Lined up firmly still. And now Santosi again has taken off and started to pull away again. Really gaining momentum this lap now with a clean space compared to the traffic. Not going to last for long, though, as we just said. Egg Performance Junior Black is up the track within 10 car lengths. And something is going on with Davidson. He has lost another second to these cars. Pure Sims is currently boxed in behind TNT Esports Orange, it appears. It's not as close as it may look. But that traffic seems to be playing a major factor with Davidson. He had the Hornet's Nest. Now has to potentially deal with the BMW, 30th place. Now, had to let it roll a fair bit, just lost a couple tenths again with the Aero. Some of the aerodynamics starting to play a bit of a factor for Davidson and may allow Seibel to close in if they can keep up the tempo. Speaking of Seibel, they have reached the traffic. You see them in the background. Here's the problem. They're all lined up as stern, 4 cars in a line. One of them moves. No time lost there. But it's not going to be so easy for Ritzma and Swank especially, because it is for an overall spot at least. The Aqua Minerale is going to take another lap to get up to the next grouping with Renner. Possibly. Or they'll be about a quarter of a lap because Renner just about hit the back end of Drew Swank. It's like Renner just going to let him on go. They're 46th in the race, 16 laps down. For those curious on the Maniti saga that has popped up this race, take a guess as to which incident is now under review. There goes the lap traffic behind the Seibel Esports car being let go. All the traffic gets through cleanly. If anything, that helps Olivier and Locatello. Santosi blinking the lights on Drew Swank. We've seen Drew Swank be fairly aggressive today, though. Here's Olivier on board, gaining tons of ground. Swank still not giving the space, now does for Santosi. Oh, and Swank is battling with them. He crosses up the same old car. The 33rd place, Drew Swank. Tries to battle. Here comes Olivier. That might deal with some problems here. And he has had to hit the brakes mighty early. Nearly looped it. One car off in the grass. Olympus Esports Proton with a problem. That is Vladimir Rotskovsky. Let him go, and Locatello tries to go. Nowhere to go around Swank. Drew Swank not making friends today. Behind him, the battles continue. Guess what? This is Division 2's race lead. After having to close up 11 seconds, Nicholas Schaefer has done it. Last time by half a second gained. German Sim Racing Red's pace has fallen off a cliff by half a second a lap the past 5 laps. Lordian feeling the pressure. Keep in mind, Schaefer's car able to fix most of what was dealt with earlier for them in the pit stop. Porsche picking up solid speed. Not close enough for the send. Oh, they hit the turtle. That cost them about a quarter second. Schaefer forced to regroup to try and regain. Very aggressive right next to those yellow and black turtles. Ryan Hohen trying to keep up as well with his teammate in the blue car. Or potential draft assist, not getting it. Still staying lined up astern for the time being. Expect this to be the case until at least the next time around for Tamburello. Good run for Schaefer. Schaefer doing what he needs to be able to close things up. Shows the nose. And some lap traffic ahead. One of the Olympus Esports cars, Christopher Stevenson. Have to deal with soon. That is holding things back a bit for the 166. Up ahead of them. Schaefer to the back bumper. Tries to line it up for the draft for the Division 2 advantage. Now black flag display. Thomas Cope, black flag this time. He did not hit the minimum pit stop time. Here comes Schaefer though. Schaefer's got the run. Doesn't like the angle though. Has to back it off. Now they have the Olympus car to deal with as well for their traffic. 10 car lengths now down to 7 up. Schaefer solid run coming up to Tosa. No peak though. Again, having to line it up for the next 31 minutes. They have time to work with. But does Schaefer want it now or does Schaefer wait? He tries to shuffle. And Schaefer really backed it off that time. Schaefer gains all the time. He backs up through Aqua Minerale. He's been solid in that corner today. Here comes the block. The Deutsche Payment car tries to go to the left side. Not able to get alongside. Not a good spot for the pass. The German Sim Racing red car able to hold on to the spot. Schaefer again has to reset. Up to the bumper once again for the draft within the car length. Keep in mind, the German Sim Racing red car now picking up draft. Their speeds near identical. Schaefer though picking up a touch bit of double toe. He's got the run. He goes to the brakes. Schaefer makes it stick. Owen not able to make a cross attempt. Deutsche Payment has closed up the gap and has taken Division 2's lead with under 30 minutes to go. Oh, in trouble in front, a car stops. Mag Performance Jr. Black at the side of the road almost stopped right at the racing line. Schaefer now dealing with a bit of damage with the curbing after the send. Owen with a clean race car. Here comes the lap traffic again. Schaefer all over the back end of Olympus Esports now. Olympus Esports moves over. Then next up is Rusty Spatulas. Owen losing tons of ground and fast all of a sudden. Absolute Motorsport has spun their car again from 18th position. Check that 16th for Simone Di Natale. That one Tosa. This is what happened that nearly wrecked the Division 2 leaders. This looks fine. Watch the rejoin. No. That is not how you rejoin a racetrack. Love 46 has picked up a penalty. It's involved with the pit stop infractions yet again. .242, give it a black flag. Let's take a look at what happened to Simon Di Natale just now. We're in the midst of a fight, and then boom. So at this point, Deutsche Payment running away with it for Division 2. Florian Hohn is 2 seconds off the pace now. So something has had to have happened for the 346 to go off the cliff. They now have damage too. Deutsche Payment leading the class now by a good second plus. For those curious on what's going on with the third place battle overall in Division 1, Seibelt has been able to keep the buffer on Olivier. Olivier has not been able to close an inch. Team Ford Zoa cars also grouped together 7 and 8. They're working together. RD Simsport, they're now battling for Division 2 position 2 with WS Racing Esports. Here's a look at Seibelt. As there goes the Aquera racing car. Olivier had closed up. There goes the gap again. And the penalty reasoning for the 242 is air between race cars. For those who watch RaceSpot a fair bit, they know what that means. Also, an NFA, or rather a penalty for a drive-through, also just given to Vector, 227. Seibelt still trying to keep the pressure away from Dominic Olivier, or rather Olivier, that pressure away from them. Down to the final 15 estimated laps to go here at Imola. What's been an intriguing one. Maniti with multiple penalties. A lot of spiraling throughout the day for some other teams. Maniti, it looks like, by the way, after all those penalties, decided to park it. And it looks like they may have a 0-point day. So the calm before the end of the race has now popped up, essentially. is jumping in. Olivier, though, looking to intensify things. They have Jake Shirley as potential traffic, the P1 Esport orange car. Don't think we've said that team's name all day. Up 10 spots, doing well in Division 2, or Division 3. Here's Division 2 battling for 4th spot now. This car's battled for 2nd, it's battled now for 3rd, it's battled now for 4th. Robert Heffler rather, closing things up. We're not able to fully get the run yet in the Porsche. So now one of those groupings that will take time to set it up. The longer the runs go, the longer it takes to form things up. You're even on the speed as they make their way through Aqua Minerale this time. All the way to the bumper goes Heffler. Having a check up for Wiggins. That holds up the chance for the move. Now the battle might be on after that check up attempt. Now for a little later on the brakes, a little more roll. Prime position for the draft. Prime position lost because they nearly hit the sand again. Still back now by 3-4 car lengths as a result of the checkup. Wiggins continues to hold firm in turn as a result for the spot. Near even pace between these two cars in the 143s. Looking at the divisions broken up now, the gap for Division 2's lead has evened out to about 2.3 seconds. Division 3 is still being dominated by that 356 car. Restanda still leading by 26 seconds. Runs coming from Heffler. Heffler tries to let it roll a little bit more once again within the car length. Not in the passing opportunity yet. Estimated laps to go when they get around this time by. With the pace Sean Campbell's been running. All to the back bumper, Heffler. Heffler, much better arc this time. Looking to speed up. Here comes the chance. Heffler, if he wants it, he can take it. He goes to the right. You're even on the brakes. And a little squeeze. Wiggins, scared off the line, goes there. Meanwhile, Thomas Albenzini has wrecked the car again in the 244. He cuts his way to the sand and spooks out the RS Armbright butt kicker car, Mikkel Lemon. The pass made and way gone. Heffler now with an advantage of more than a second because of that move. Let's take a look at Sabo. It's Blinky Blink time. They have a chance to break away by more than a second if they can get around Frederic Bergdorf cleanly. P1 Esport orange car gives them no issue. Problem is, the Precision Racing Esports Mercedes has to find a way around. Forcing the hand to the inside. Olivier still having to close up 6 car lanes yet again, with more traffic ahead. World of Sim Racing, for example, to deal with. Other battles are starting to form up. For reference, you may notice on the pylon, German Sim Racing has been reeled in by Deutsche Pavement for overall spot. Well, 2 Division 2 drivers, 20th and 21st overall, fighting JTR Esports and one of the Valwer's Motorsports cars, also battling Division 3, while racing and one of the main performance entries. Here comes the Precision Racing car, Olivier, though. Might take about a couple laps for them to be able to regroup, have a shot. Olivier, the team's top pro driver, essentially, at least based on how they sort out their photos online. And a 10-year back for rallying, has been iRacing since 2018 on the platform. One of those drivers who uses a VR headset, as well as the Heusinkveld pedals. Airway runs off the track. Now they pick up a bit of slipstream from Flores up ahead. It looks like Spencer Ritzma has had an issue. .345 has been their car at the side of the road. And around the racetrack. It looks like Element Sim Racing Fire has also just gone around. Let's see what's going on here. Trying to battle, and there's the Meg Performance Junior car. The junior program is going to have a lot of words sent towards their way at the end of today. Looking back to 3rd overall. And here's the other part of that incident in the chaotic straight. Flip a turtle, spun it out. Pretty routine. Now the traffic is a major factor. Santosi all over the back end of Flores, and Flores not making it easy for him. Flores now hits the brake. Olivier right there for the chance. Olivier peeks right, goes left, forces the compromised line. Olivier with a bit of a run. Santosi though with the better pole. Another look heading to Piratella, not going to be able to make the inside work. Santosi forced a bubble. Attack him in a rally. Olivier looks right, has to back up the corner. Works it forward, Olivier. Couple car lengths back as a result. Down to the final 15 minutes or so in this race. 9 estimated laps to go at the stripe. Separated now by 0.3 of a second are these two. Sabout's been quicker in the clean space. Olivier, when there's been the traffic, has been able to really work through it quicker. No draft for Sabout Esports to work off this time. Olivier within a car length again. He's thought about it. No move into Tamburello. Too far back for the realistic lunge. Oh, and Olivier hits the turtles. He nearly spins it. Olivier all the way back, and this will now take probably another lap or so at least to be able to reset again. Seems Olivier just cannot find a way to fully get around yet. Eight and a half laps to go from Imola. Same with a bad run. Here comes Olivier again. Olivier deeper on the brakes. Smoother on the turtles. Closes up a car length. Olivier might have a shot to be able to get the draft if he can close up half a car length more at least. He doesn't do it though, he clips the sand instead. Olivier going to have to fight to be able to have a shot here. Last time by, 2/10 lost. That 2/10, major difference right now. There's about half of that. Another bobble near off-track situation. Hits a lot of turtle on the left side. Might have found something there. Got a lot of speed carry through. Here's the thing though, if they get side by side again, Massimo Locatello again will have a chance to be able to try and jump to third. He's about nearly 2 seconds back. Once again to the Aqua Minerale, 1 car length still their separation. And as we've seen throughout the season, it's almost like an air bubble. Once you pop it, have a shot. Trying to pop it Olivier. Still can't make his way forward yet. Dead even on the speed, a little deeper Olivier down the hillside. Drew Ribiazza a little quicker for Santosi on the roll. Dead even once again, too far back again possibly for the draft. Moving to the left side again, Santosi. Olivier might have to start to get brave. Still not able to eat back to the gap. Team Fordzilla, meanwhile, has been reeled in by Dennis Berzik. Pablo Lopez. That's also within a second for 8th and 9th for reference. Olivier staying within the car length, still keeping it about even. On board with Olivier. This is from the front wing, from the front nose. Bump to the curb, Olivier still cannot find a way to pop forward. And at the rate things are going, Locatello might have a shot at 4th. Coming up to the 10-minute mark. 10 minutes to go. 6 estimated laps to go for Sean Campbell. Olivier now starting to fall completely out of the range just about now. The draft is the one thing keeping them together here. Livier seeing a significant amount of fall off. Not so much for Santosi. He's running within a tenth of his personal best. Andrei Rechkovic is now the next car they have to deal with. Lap traffic, 24th. Heusinkveld's Division 2 car. This may help out Santosi a little bit, depending on how they reach Rechkovic with the draft. Still no change when it comes to the 111. And there's Rechkovic over the front of Santosi, and he's not moving yet. Now he does to the left. Gives the braking space for Santosi. Also fed him a fair bit of draft, and Olivier will have to hit the brake. Yes, he does. That might be exactly what Santosi needed to be able to clinch this podium. Olivier struggling to be able to get the draft now, and Rechkovic to get him around. He does. Still 1 second back. Hello, car out of the pit lane. That's Quasar Sim Racing Hydra. Final 5 laps or so here from Imola. It's one of the closer battles on the racetrack currently. Pablo Lopez still trying to hold off German Sim Racing for their respective battle, but that's still separated a fair bit out. Dustin Smith for JTR Esports battling with his Gaspar for Valor's Motorsports Aries are close. That is a battle in Division 2. A couple drivers are battling Division 3. P1 Esport Orange has reeled in the world of sim racing. On some of the battles in the closing stages here of this race. Oh, and a spin off the racetrack. That's in the months the battle for World of Sim Racing team. Not sure which car that was that went off the racetrack. We'll have to double check. That was in through the chicane, and it was a 225. Welcome back to the race. Patrick Hinston spins it right out. And Luis Gaspar's just had an issue. 237 had just been in a battle as well up the road, as just also had gone around. Gaspar's broken the car. He's out of the race. He has rage quit because of this. Also, incident limit penalty. Alex Ferrari, Meg Performance Junior White. Looking now at World of Sim Racing team. P1 Esport Orange has reeled them down. Flores has lost a lot of ground in this run. P1 Esport Orange look fairly solid despite the position. Up a bit of the curbing, coming up through the slide. Flores holding on to it. Battle for third in Division 1 is also closed back up as we go double box. Second in Division 3, up on the big screen, little screen, the battle for third Division 1. Nickdorf still not able to get the run he needs yet, quite yet. A little bit of a run for Precision Racing Esports goes for naught. Olivier back in line on the inside. Meanwhile, here comes the chance. The orange car to the outside. Tried the cross, doesn't work. About 2.5 laps to go for them. World of Sim Racing team still parking the bus for second in this race. What a day will it be for them after no points in Germany. Nearly off the track. Lots of traffic lining up behind him as well. Up and around goes the 351. Still running off and away. It looks like World of Sim Racing team might get a breather up towards the final lap. Down to the final 2 laps or so estimated. Sean Campbell down to the final 3 minutes and 20 seconds up at the front. Heusinkveld Esports still up for third. Olivier, the closest he's been in a long while, about 15 minutes. He's got a better run. How does Heusinkveld play this? Olivier trying to go the long way. Olivier shows the nose. The squeeze. Contact. Santozzi to the dirt. Might have been a bit of air in between there, but Santozzi from third spot gets spun. Heusinkveld Esports all the way back to 6th spot with a spin. How does this play out post-race for Olivier? And take a look. Might see some air right here. There's the rub. There's the spin. That coming down to the final 2 minutes. That might be a post-race review. Locatello now has a shot for third, though, as a result here. Clock reaching 2 minutes. Looks like we may get an extra lap, yes. No signal from Barney. Narrow late crash for Vector Sim Racing, by the way, in 34th. They are still somehow running. PR Esports car runs away. Closes up that battle. P1 Esport Orange, by the way, with some of the traffic with Jake Shirley, lost their chance at the World of Sim Racing team car. Ortzilla still has to deal with the battle too. Be it not as close as what we've seen prior to that lunge. Coming up to the final minute of this race. It's been an intriguing one for the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. Sean Campbell expecting to take the white this time. Sean Campbell started things off running away with Tom Burns. Then Tom Burns drove it off the racetrack. Campbell since then has been able to run away by 16 seconds. Lap traffic has been very cordial to him. Not too many holdups. And now, coming out of the corner, expecting the white flag this time by the bell lap from Imola. White flag is waving from Barney. Final time around. Campbell outright dominating in Division 1 today. Division 2, it was definitely up for grabs with Deutsche Payment Monkey Butt. They've been able to jump ahead of German Sim Racing Red now by 7 seconds. Then compare that to what Division 3 has been The stand-up Nomad just lost a spot to Division 1 car. They've been driving clean all day long. Final half a lap for Sean Campbell. Drive-through penalty possibly coming up, 2:37, but they're already out of the race. Only a couple more obstacles to go, or one major one at least. Thomas Avanzini. Sean Campbell looks like they might not reach the traffic. Or at least reaches one, who backs off very early. Nick McLaughlin. Sean Campbell once again puts on a clinic. This time he does it in the IVRA GT Sprint Series powered by Heusinkveld. Sean Campbell wins Division 1. Campbell does it by 18 plus seconds. Oh, wow. The next driver in line across the stripe. Division 3. Freestanding Nomad. Able to get through all the troubles early, slip back a bit late. But they dominate Division 3 by 20 plus seconds. And Ruffy able to drive the car home cleanly. One more class to close out, and it's Deutsche Payment. They have to close 11 seconds to get up to German Sim Racing. They closed it up, made the pass with 30 minutes to go. Nicholas Schaefer wins it for his team for Division 2. The rest of the drivers crossing the stripe. A grand total of 17 lead lap cars today. One of the positions in line is the Division 2 battle. Dilworth and Wiggins. Dilworth tried to send it, couldn't lick the stamp fully. And Josh Wiggins looks like will hold on to one of the final position battles on the racetrack for 15th and 16th overall, amongst the top 5 in class. Last of the drivers to cross the stripe today, RSR by butt kicker with Mikael Lemon. And they've ran out of gas. And here comes some help from Vector Sim Racing. See if this gets looked at, as Mikael Lemon will get a push from a sister car to be able to close out this race. So all drivers have finally closed things out today here at Imola. Sean Campbell dominates by 18 seconds to win over Alexander Davidson. Dominic Olivier are currently in third unofficially. See if that is looked at post-race after contact for third. Then it's Massimo Locatello for German Sim Racing Senkowski in fifth, followed by Sable Esports. The car sped around Santosi in his home race in sixth. Tom Burns finishes 7th, Pablo Lopez, Dennis Berzik, the top 9 being Division 1. The top Division 2 driver finished 10th overall, Nicholas Schaefer. 11th spot today went the way of one German Sim Racing Red. They lost a ton of time, 7 seconds, after the pit stops to the overall win. Mag Performance SRT went further on the fuel. They finished 12th overall. Then it's I Liveries, WS Racing Esports, RD Simsport, and Pastanda Nomad, the top 16. Mikael Lemon ran out of gas to finish on the lead lap in 17th. John Williams finished 18th for Eclipse, followed by Absolute Motorsport, Ace Left Jr. recovering from 2 different spins, and Sergio Gomez for Ingersoll Rand, the top 20. 21st today went to the Division 3 winner, that being Pastanda Nomad. They're able to pick up max points today as a result of their run after picking up a 6th last time. Dustin Smith for JT IVRA Esports in 22nd. In Heusinkveld, TNT Esports, followed by P1 Esport in the battle for second. In Division 3, holding off Royal Sim Racing Team. For Racing, Olympus Esports, Swank Racing, Rusty Spatulas, the top 30. 31st overall in the race today went to Make Performance Jr. Their white entry having some adventures, to say the least. 13 having a rough one. JTR Esports 32nd, Make Performance Jr. Black 33rd. 2 laps down went to Vector, and Element Sim Racing Delta V Racing also 2 laps down, along with Olympus Esports. Quasar Sim Racing V Racers and Velvet Motorsports. Aries, the top 40. 41st through 50th, Ethan Bass drove the fourth 6 laps down to 41st. Marcus Fox for Element Sim Racing 42nd, and then Olympus Esports 242. A very rough day. They parked at 8 laps to go in 43rd overall. Nick McLaughlin 12 laps down amongst the drivers in early incidents. GSC Racing by ACI also involved in crashes, 16 laps down in 45th. Max Reedmower parked it from an ET after a plethora of penalties for the team, 24 laps down. Ferrari Racing, Ingersoll ran Velvet Motorsports OTK by butt kicker, and the last driver 269. Ferrari Racing should say, rounds out the field here today. Sean Campbell's fastest lap. Once the final stages of this one, he leads 64 to the 67 laps complete. So with that, it's time for post-race coverage here in this one, an eventful one for some. In the case of Sean Campbell, it was a very calm day. After Tom Burns' spin, he ran away by 18 seconds. Sean Campbell, you outright dominated today. How are you feeling for Delta Sport?
It was pretty good. You know, I felt pretty comfortable.
It definitely looked like you were comfortable here today. Of course, a lot of shuffling we've seen in the past month or so for you. How would you describe your run here with Delta Sport today, working with this team? First time, believe, in the Delta Sport colors, if I believe, for IVRA competition for the GT Sprint Series.
It's been fun, as well as with the IMSA series. It was a lot of fun getting to know the guys and working on the setups and whatnot. Just good chemistry is what we're trying to form, I guess.
Yes, indeed. So you outright dominate here today. The question is, how do you do it again? Because there's still plenty of races to go. Lots of points picked up as a result of this run. It's Daytona that's next.
I don't know. Daytona feels more chaotic, but it'll be easier to pass, but that's not really what you want to do, is it?
Yeah, it could be interesting at Daytona. Thank you very much for the time, Sean. Congratulations over the overall win for Delta Sport.
Thanks.
That's Sean Campbell doing it for the Bees today. Meanwhile, a third division's winner, Ryan Scott Hamilton, believe is talking with his team, is now with us as well. Well, Ryan, you did things today that seeing your team come up on top. How would you describe your run, getting through the traffic and chaos to be able to get a sizable advantage?
Yeah, it was a really tough race for us. I mean, going through all that carnage, we basically just need to keep our cool. And I've got a reputation in the team of avoiding accidents like that, and it was just basically just checking up when you need to, seeing what's going on around you, and just treating it like a real life situation. And I think we did pretty well to get through the maelstrom. Surprised there wasn't a safety car, but it must have cleared up pretty well. And from then on, it was just getting your head down and setting the laps in, which I managed to do to give a good lead to my other driver, Aiden.
How would you describe the turnaround from the opening round of the season, about mid-pack in the division last time out? Of course, top step to the podium today.
Yeah, well, we had the pace to be at the front of that as well, but I had a small spin, and I also got a black flag as well, so that put us down. So that was more of a recovery drive. This one really proved what the team can do and what Aiden and myself can do. And yeah, we can be very proud of this victory. Yeah, we're very, very happy with ourselves.
So what's your team's opinion for Daytona? Because Sean Campbell seemed a little bit tentative with the potential of the chaos. Your thoughts at Daytona?
I mean, Turn one, yeah. I mean, I can see his opinion. Turn one is an absolute horrible corner for a first lap, and I can see his opinion. But you know, referencing today of the carnage, I can get through it quite well. It's just when you sometimes if you get blindsided by someone who gets hit, you know, then it's totally not your fault. But I'm pretty sure if people like had a like look at themselves and thought to themselves, you know, if I give a bit of space here, you know, and we all get through, you know, results might have turned out differently today. But I can see his point of view.
So with that, congratulations on the division victory today. Your team ends up dominating Division 3.
Thank you very much.
Ryan Scott Hamilton, once again, joining us for pre-stand-up. Nomad, once again, their team coming away with the victory. An eventful one here at Imola. Lots to potentially unravel in regards to post-race situations. But the next time out, as talked about with some of the drivers, is expected to be Daytona International Speedway. That taking place December the 16th, currently the slot around. Be sure to tune in. Currently the start time, 14:40 UTC. As we get ready to see how the drivers fare out at a very busy Daytona International Speedway prior to Christmas. On that note, it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for today's action, the IVRA GT Sprint Series, powered by Heusinkveld. For my broadcast partner throughout the opening stages of today, Stefan Schlacker, for my producer, Tomer Maxon, just Sprint saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the IVRA GT Sprint Series, powered by Heusinkveld on RaceBot and VCO.